Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Judy and you are watching Running So and So. Now, this seems very odd today. Very, very odd because I'm actually looking at you through there. Somebody pointed out in the comments that I always look as if I'm looking at the side. And if I do look at the side, it's because, if you can imagine, I've got my camera in front of me, but the little screen is just to the side. And I think that's the only fault I can find with this lovely new camera. So if my eyes are going backwards and forwards, it's because I'm actually, if I'm showing you something, like if I'm showing you this box, I've got to look at it in there because I can't really, I suppose I could look at it like that. So I'm trying, all right? I'm listening to your feedback and I am trying. My kids would say I'm very trying at times. Thank you so much if you have joined me on this journey, because I realised that I've had a bit of a flurry of new subscribers. So if you're new, thank you so much for pressing the subscribe button. It means so very much to me that you have taken the time to watch my videos, to probably comment on them, to press the like button, and then to press subscribe. It's just absolutely such a wonderful feeling. And it's, to me, as I keep saying several times, that social media has a lot of bad press, and I can understand why, because a lot of bad things have happened. Social media can do an awful lot of good. And if I didn't think it could do good, I wouldn't be sat here. So what have I been doing this past week? Well, it's been one of those weeks. I have just had a busy, busy week. Times where I've needed to go and talk to friends, go and help friends, go and help people with bits of sewing. I've had a lady in the village come to me and say, help, I've got my favourite dog walking coat on some barbed wire. That's put back together. She's just come to collect that this morning out of interest. And she said, you couldn't just by any chance put a little seam in my back of my jumpsuit. Well, it just so happened to have the right colour in the sewing machine, so I just popped it through for her. She wanted to press it on something, and I said, oh, just use a little pin. So it's just been one of those weeks where other things have been important and they've had to be prioritised. And I hope that, yeah, I know I've done the right thing. I'm not going to say any more. There is a new timer on Instagram today, folks. I'm so excited. I'm going to be a mother-in-law again in 2 weeks' time. And I thought I would start today's vlog by telling you what it is I'm going to make for Tristan's wedding. I finally decided. Fabric! Oh, heck. Now, wouldn't be a true sewist. I'm just getting used to the term sewist. I've decided I like it. I can say that because I've been sewing for such a long time and I'm an aged old thing. Oh, I must tell you this thing about age, right? There was a caterpillar. Beautiful, beautiful caterpillar. I'll see if I can put a picture of this caterpillar. Really beautiful caterpillar in one of the tunnels in the park that we go to for after school club. After school club in the village I work in is next to like a club, a football club. So we use the building, but the park is there. So I basically spend my evenings sitting in the park. Now it's great at the moment while it's nice and warm. Trust me, when it gets cold, I'll have every single layer going on me. Anyway, Sue, who runs it, was like, we can't keep the kids around there, there's this caterpillar. And I said, oh, not a problem, went to have a look for it. They didn't get the kids to move it, did they? They sent the 60-year-old kid in to move it. Anyway, it's beautiful, and this is what it's called. One of my friends had seen one and she'd rescued it from her Brittany dog, like my two. So I am going to make for the wedding, which is, in 12 days' time, this beautiful garment here. It is a Butterick 6522, Now, Sarah Bales, I think she's called, Super Bales Sews. Just put that down the bottom there. Just a quick shout out to Sarah. Sarah is on the vlogging team with me for vlogging team. Oh, Judy, don't be too happy because the lodger's gone. She is on the blogging team with Rachel and I for Jenny Stitches. And Sarah has started a YouTube channel. Now, some of you will remember that I met Sarah in York at the end of the summer, at the end of August, and we shared a couple of hours together. Literally, I saw that she was in York on Facebook, so I said, I'm in York to, shall we have a coffee? And it was super, super, super. And I've been trying to persuade her since then because she has such a passion for sewing. You need to, I don't want to spoil anything, but you need to watch her. And I'm sure Crystal will be saying exactly the same thing because Crystal is also on our team. So when I was in Boys with Sarah, we were flicking through and I said, Sarah, what do you think of this for the wedding? And she said, oh, I like it, Judi. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the one with the long legs. So it's like a palazzo pant, but with the short sleeveless one, because I have got chunky arms and I do tend to find that sometimes sleeveless is better for me. If I've got the time, I might try and turn the sleeves here into what I call flutter sleeves. So you've got 2 pieces of fabric that go over the top like that. So next week's video will be me making this. And the fabric, you're not going to believe what the fabric is. If you've been watching me for a while, you'll know exactly what it is. It's a Watson wedding. So yes, out we come. It's all very creased and it needs ironing, but it is that beautiful a Melba coloured crepe from Atelier Brunette. If you want a really good range of crepes, and again, this is not paid promotion, this is me with my experience. If you go onto the Atelier Brunette website in Paris, I'll put it in the description box. They have got viscose crepes in so many different colours, but not just that, you can get your thread. So you can have your ordinary thread, you can have your overlocking thread, your zips, your buttons, your elastic, everything to match this colour. So in here I have everything I need, or more than I need, to make the dress. So here it is. I'll just show you. Zip, there's the zip. And here's the fabric. It's exactly the same colour, except I don't need a zip this time. But I think I ordered all this on a sale. The thread's in there. I've got so much of that thread. But I also, she says turning around, have the overlocker thread for it as well. I bought that too. But that is up on my... Can you see it? It's just that one there. Can you see it? Yeah, next to the green. Slightly out of focus. But that's the overlocker thread for it. I thought I'd got more. I think I have blush Atelier Brunette overlocker thread, and in what I'm going to come to in a minute, I might find it. So that's the big make. I'm just going to put in a little bit of an insert as to what has been happening. Yesterday when the lodger started to go, she had 2 pieces of furniture in that room which I had bought her, and I didn't want her taking them with her, so I basically went straight in. I'm just going to stop there for a minute and just say that I've had to be somebody I'm not, and I found the whole process ridiculously exhausting. I had to be a bullshit, upfront person, and I'm not an antagonistic person. I'm not provocative, but I'm afraid I've had to learn to come out with things and just say, no, you don't do things like that. So before she had a chance to sneak this furniture out of the room, I said, when you've unloaded those 2 pieces of new furniture, could you bring them into the living room? And you could see her thinking, why is she taking them into the living room? Well, I've got this little cupboard. And I'm going to insert the footage as to what happened next. In the corner of my living room is what was a stationery cupboard. Because, as I've said to you several times, it is an old school room because I've got these really high windows. Let me show you it this way because I've got the television on over there. And then you go down to the floor. So we come back over here, and this was the stationery cupboard. What did they put in there, Hannah, when you were in school?
Maths books, science books.
Yep, that was the stationery cupboard. It was the cupboard, the teacher's cupboard. Basically. And the lodger has gone. Oh, it's such an exciting day. And I had to acquire some furniture for her, which I didn't really want to. But Hannah and I have I have a plan that I am going to turn it into a mass organised stash. But let me just show you what's come out of the cupboard. Please excuse my homage to HM Queen and HM King. Look at this. This is what was in the cupboard. Now this is against the fact that there is stuff in the kitchen as well. Hannah is now going over there because she's found something. She's going to measure to see if the bookshelf will go in, whether we need to take out the top.
My Cinderella dress pattern.
Oh. Okay.
Do you not remember?
Cinderella dress.
You made that.
Look at this. That's the Sun's musical notebook. Musical waistcoat.
You don't need to remove the top.
Oh, thank goodness for that.
That's why I was measuring. Let me just check how wide we've got.
I think it's wide enough, Hannah. It'll go on top of that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this bookshelf here. Excuse the sunshine and the poor filming today. This bookshelf, the television is on and I'm trying to avoid the television.
Just put a sticker over it.
I'm not going to put a sticker over it, I'm going to avoid it. It's going to go on top. Now I'm going to put patterns on there. But the reason I want to use this cupboard is I can shut the doors on it. And it's only got one skin full of bricks, one skin of bricks to the outside, so it needs to be as rammed with fabric as possible. I have got the television in. I'll have to put a square over the side of it.
Oh, Mum, no one can tell what that is.
They might do. Anyway, and get as much fabric in there and pack it round the sides. But I think there might be a D-stash coming. Just watch this space. Look at it. That is dire. That is dire. Help. The trusty assistant. Popping.
With the hot water bottle, if you know, you know.
I wasn't going to mention it.
Well, I've got a bulgy.
I keep telling you folks that my videos are true to life. Now, it's got a bit of a shallow bottom, but, well, something's collapsed.
No, it's...
No, it hasn't collapsed, it's just something.
So...
Do we need to put one of those shelf things over the top?
I think we need to put a shelf board on this.
Yeah, so it's got something to sit on.
Yes.
Okay. Can you squeeze that in? I bet you can.
Train me well, Mum.
Jan, these are Tony. Jan, if you're watching, these are Tony's shelves. Tony put some quick shelves up. I'm sat here and my daughter's just walked in and doing this. This is what we call a prophism. I am waffling now, folks, but I need to tell you about the prophism. The prof is what the kids called my dad.
Because he was a prof.
Because he was a prof. He was a professor of electronics and he was the most handy of chaps. And Grandad always thought about things to work out how they would work, which is currently what his granddaughter is now doing. And she will make this work. She will.
Trust me.
Okay, now she's put it back on one of the shelves and she says it's going to fit. So this is, if this fits, it's an ultra. Oh my gosh, that is a true prophism. She
told you, because I measured it.
You measured it. I didn't measure it. Right.
And that looks a lot neater than what you were thinking.
It does look very, very neat, doesn't it? Just think what I could stack down the sides there.
Oh, yes.
Right. Now.
All I'm saying, Mum, mini Billy bookcase.
Oh, God. So we have the fabrics I want to sew with, which is this beautiful bamboo jersey. I've got some Breton stripe. I've got some First for Fabrics legging lycra. Cannot recommend this. I know I'm saying First for Fabrics. That's where I've had it from. It's amazing. I've got this ochre, which I want to make an Isla top out of. Now this has come from the lady who is doing the massive D-stash local to me. So those are ready to go. Over here, on the other hand, is where I have got to. I now have the cupboards in and we have started to make inroads. Now, what I'm looking at doing while I'm watching Saturday night television is moving some of these folders to up here and sorting out the knitting wools, because I will get some of these plastic baskets, she says with her fingers crossed a million times, in. Now I've got all my patterns here and they all face this way, so I can see some face one way, some face the other, but there's enough movement. Can you see I've got them facing so I can pull one out and see that's a Tilly and oh, that's an Indigo Junction. I've got them all here. Please excuse Maggie, she's just come back from a walk. Now up here I have knitting wool. And I have some other patterns, and I don't know what is up there, and that has got to come down. Coming down here, I have got precious fabrics in here. This one has my wedding dress material that went in there. This is lovely, look at this. It's the musical note fabric. Now, we've had that for a very long time, and I know you can keep buying it in boys, and it is around, but we made waistcoats for Tristan out of that. This is a Mizoni fabric. There's an Atelier Brunette viscose there. These are from Linton Tweeds, and these are their Chanel's. This is Joel and Son. And over here I have a vernacular quilt die there. This is an advent calendar from Burwash Manor. Now you all, Burwash Manor, from Backstitch at Burwash Manor, and you all know how much I love Backstitch. And this is my AccuQuilt. I did think about putting more of the AccuQuilt dies in here, but I thought actually here I could put fabrics and things that I'm going to use more regularly than the AccuQuilt die. I hope to use the AccuQuilt die regularly, but I just don't know at the moment. If I move down here into this one, I just need to pull the drawer slightly. In here I've got technical fabrics. I've got my ripstops. This is fabric that you could use to line a lunchbox. I've got some polar fleece. And on this side, I've got some special fabrics. I've got my Tula Pink Bernina fabric. And just first, I love the First for Fabrics ribbon. Sorry, I'm not being paid to do an advertisement. But these are the offcuts here from my quilt with L'Oreal. To go down a level, I have my fat quarters. I cannot believe I have so many fat quarters. Must stop buying quilting fabric. And here I have nice fabrics that I've acquired. So I've got some lovely, this one is an American one I got from 5/8 in Charleston. I've got some denims. I just want to be able to open any kind of drawer and see what it is that I've bought. That's my Joann's fabric, that's my Mill End. I've got polar fleeces and wools down there. We're getting somewhere. There's a lot to sort, she says. I'm just doing Christmas. Oh, Christmas is going to go here. But these I'm wanting to put up there. But here there's a magazine here. I just don't want to lose that. That magazine is the one from my Close coat. Oh, let's see how we do this evening. So there you go. Is that not just so exciting? I have turfed out so much stuff. I'm going to do a destash. I don't know when. It's not at the top of my list of priorities, and I do have the space to put that all to one side for the moment. I'm aware that Christmas is around the corner, and the wedding's around the corner, and the sewing day's around the corner, and when I was in the cupboard I found some stuff. Now let me just turn away from you. Years ago the Quilters Guild did quilt patterns for the actual design for the quilting, if you wanted a whole cloth quilt or you wanted to do a standard quilt on top. So these patterns are from, I mean, we are talking a long time ago. A long, long time ago, when we had outside toilets. But I'm pretty certain these are out of print now, but I'm showing you, because it's now called the Quilters Guild of British Isles. But these are the days when it was just called the Quilters Guild, when Madam here was the secretary. So inside I've got the designs on how to put them together, and I actually have England, I have Scotland, and I have Wales. I didn't get England because England's a bit varied. I'm more sort of lean towards the Durham. But the reason I've got Scotland and Wales is because my mother was born in Glasgow, which is in Scotland, and my father was a Welshman, born in Cardiff, and they met in Wales. So I felt that those two were very much heritage based towards me. One day, maybe, I don't know. My mind is just going 10 to the dozen at the moment of what do I need to buy? I need to use what I've got. You want to go to the shows, you want to buy the new fabric, you want to buy the new patterns. But what I've turfed out over the past 24 hours has really sort of got my brain thinking, and I really don't know where I'm going at the moment, apart from sewing. That I do know. I'm going to a wedding in 2 weeks' time, and I'm going to sew. But what I want to sew next, I'm really like, I don't know what I want to sew next. I've got a great big, well, I had a great big box of fabrics. Have I knocked it on the floor? Maggie seems to think I have. It's right over on the other side of the kitchen, and it's got in my work wardrobe. That's my half-term task. Now, how many of us would actually knit and do a sample like that? Look at that. That's she grafting together, and she's practiced that there. And then here, she's done double knitting wool, and she's written down the different sorts of wool that she's used. Now, at a guess, she's done this because she was doing some work. Just a minute, I'm going to stop there for a second, because this is what my mum's embroidery needles used to be in. It's all fallen apart. One evening, I'm going to try and put it back together for her. But, and I think that this will have been a cover on that book. But there's also a little booklet here, and I think this is when Mum did the knitting sample, because she's bought this from a lady called Sheena Calra in the Westmount Plaza in Waterloo, Ontario. Now, if you are watching me from Waterloo, Ontario, it's not far from Toronto. I don't even know if it's been engulfed by Toronto now, but if you are watching me and you can remember a wool shop in Westmount Plaza, just send me a message. There's an email address for my YouTube channel, and it's in the description box. I really would love to hear from you, because as a family we lived on Shakespeare Drive in Waterloo, and then latterly on Longwood Drive in Waterloo, and it'd be lovely to know if anybody was around or can remember these shops. And it was 1972, it's a long time ago, it's 50 years ago, but this book was bought when Mum went there, and I suspect that it was Mrs. Calra, who was our next door neighbour. We had a rented house. Mum went in there because Mum was lonely. When Simon and I went to school, Mum was lonely, and she went in there and she did embroidery and knitting with Sheena. And that helped Mum settle into life in Canada so much. So, there you go. What have I found? I think I found a history book. It's not quite what I was going to put in a vlog this week. But there you go. I hope you've enjoyed watching what I've had to share with you today. If you have, give me a little like. If you really want to, and if you'd love to join me on my journey, you can do. There's lots of details in my blog in the description box about how you can get in touch with me, how you can support me if that's what you want to do. And it's entirely up to you. But thank you so much for watching. And if you fancy giving me a like or a subscribe, that would be fantastic. For now, and I'll see you all again very soon. Bye.